Making sure every Nevadan is counted, but there's census confusion from not getting a form in the mail to when will census workers start knocking on your doors. We're getting those questions answered by the experts.
This is News 3 at noon with Kim and Dana Wagner.
Jer, it is noon, and let's get to our top story here. The last-minute push to get counted is on. The U.S. Census Bureau wants to remind everyone that tomorrow is the last day to return your 2010 census form in the mail. News 3's Colette Whelan joins us in the studio this afternoon. And Colette, it sounds like if folks just fill this out and get it sent in, it's thousands of dollars for our state, right?
Yeah, well, if you don't turn it in, the government is going to send someone to your house, and that's going to cost thousands of dollars. Because our population has grown significantly in the past 10 years, Nevada will likely receive more than $1 billion in federal funds. And not only do we stand to get more money, we're likely going to get another seat in Congress. The census count is being affected by our bad economy because more Clark County residents, believe it or not, are considered homeless. That makes it more difficult to track those people down. But the U.S. Census Bureau is making sure that they are counted too. Census workers have been at Catholic Charities during their busy meal times to get those people counted. The executive director of Catholic Charities, Monsignor Patrick Leary, says it's crucial for them to get an accurate count because funding for their programs could be affected.
The homeless people are part of our community. Many of these people are homeless now. Just a few months ago actually had homes here in the valley. They've lost that home. They're like some of the families you'll see here. They just don't have the resources they need. A census is what defines what government resources we'll have to work for the next 10 years. So it's very important that we count everybody.
So far, about 47% of Clark County residents have turned in their census. That's just trailing the national average, Dan, which is at 50% right now.
All right, Colette, thanks for that story. Now you can track the census return rate by going to our website. That's mynews3.com. Just click on the 2010 census participation map under the links section of our homepage.
And there seems to be a lot of census confusion, and here to answer some of our viewer questions is Nevada Secretary of State Ross Miller, who is also the chair of the statewide Complete Count Committee. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And Colette touched a little bit on some of the challenges you're facing. The face of homelessness changing, foreclosure crisis, the illegal immigration population growing. How are you getting to these people?
Well, it's tough. We're fortunate in Nevada that we're the only western state to have devoted a portion of our state budget to try to get out there and message the fact that this is really a competition between the states. It means so much in federal funding, about $10,000 per person that turns the form in. So we're going out there in the community trying to make sure that they have the resources that they need and most importantly understand the importance of the census.
Now you just mentioned 10,000. I know we've been hearing 900. Is it 10,000 per person?
Well, it's $917 per person per year, but we're talking about a 10-year time period. So, you know, if somebody were going to give you a task and say you have to live with the results of that task for 10 years, you'd make sure you get it right, and that's what we're trying to do.
And Colette mentioned about $1 billion Nevada stands to make. Where does that money go?
All the issues that people care about. Roads, schools, jobs, social services agencies like the one she was just referencing, that deal with the homeless population, all of those issues. We get a very small percentage of the federal dollars that we pay returned back to Nevada. The census is how we improve that.
And last time we discussed this issue, you mentioned that a lot of folks might be afraid because they are here illegally in this country to fill out the form. Law enforcement not involved in this at all?
It's completely confidential for 72 years, and that's what we're trying to put out there also, is that this information is not shared with any other governmental agency. You don't have to worry about customs, immigration, even with our foreclosure situation, people living, squatting in homes, don't have to worry about code enforcement, people coming out there, completely confidential, just trying to find out where they live.
So let's say a family who has gone through foreclosure, they're living with relatives, they still need to be counted on that form?
Absolutely. Family 4 is going to cost us $40,000 over the time period that we're talking about, so they still need to send in that form. It's kept confidential, so even if it's an embarrassing situation, you don't have to worry about that becoming public for 72 years.
And we mentioned there seems to be some census confusion. We have been getting a lot of emails. Terry writes, our neighborhood of 228 homes did not receive the census form to send back by tomorrow. What do they need to do?
They'll send out another batch of census forms. Hopefully we'll catch them that time. So if you haven't received it by April 12th, you should look on our website, nevadacensus2010.com. There's some steps. You can go to a questionnaire assistance center in order to get a hold of that form and ultimately send it in.
And let's talk about the centers. Do you know how many, where are they located?
All throughout the community. There's a long list of them on nevadacensus2010.com. You can go out there and get some assistance if you need it. You can get a hold of the form, be able to send it back in. Ultimately, if you don't send the form back in, somebody from the federal government will come knocking on the door.
And let's talk about that. Another viewer asked, I work Monday through Friday, and will the census counter that comes door to door come on the weekend? Do we know?
I think they will. It will happen between May and June, and obviously they're going to try different times of the day, especially in Las Vegas, which is 24-hour time, try to catch somebody when they're home.
And recommendations to people if they do get a knock on the door.
You know, census workers will always be clearly identified as census workers. They'll have a badge. You can ask for that if you don't feel comfortable with the situation. The best way to prevent somebody from coming to your door is to send in the form. So that's what we're encouraging people to do today.
Because there's always scammers. So again, people should just be asking for a badge and just open the door.
Yep, and they'll never ask for detailed information, your social security number, your bank account information. Don't give that because it is not what the census is looking for.
And again, we keep hearing 10 easy questions, 10 minutes.
Takes less than 10 minutes, I think. In my experience, it took about 2 minutes to fill out, and I got 4 people in my house, so $40,000 in federal funding, hopefully pay for the education for my girls at home.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us and answering some of our questions. And if you still have questions about the census, you can email them to us at news3@mynews3.com. Again, news3@mynews3.com, or you can find a link on our homepage, mynews3.com.